ahead and have a seat. Welcome. My name is Jenny Lamb, and I'm the acting chair of the Department of Communication. And I am super happy to welcome parents, family, and friends to the ceremony recognizing the achievements of the 2013 graduates of the Department of Communication. This is the 40th year of the department, and you are our 37th graduating class. Graduates, you have worked hard to be here today. You've learned a lot and had some remarkable experiences on your path to graduation. These young men and women know the difference between cultivation and cognitive dissonance, the difference between agenda setting and attribution theory. They know how to code conversations as well as television violence. Excuse me. Some have studied persuasion and written public relations campaigns. Others have participated in the creation of news broadcasts from our own TV studio. Some of these students have also conducted research on new communication technologies, politics in the media, and on children's television programs. I assure you, these graduates leave our classrooms as energetic, educated adults. I know that I speak for the faculty of the Department of Communication when I say that we are pleased to have participated in their growth. It is my honor to welcome you on behalf of the faculty, but now I would like to introduce you to the student who will welcome you on behalf of the graduates. Excuse me. Adrian O'Leary is an honors student graduating with a degree in interpersonal communication and Spanish. While at the university, Adrian has studied abroad in both Australia and Costa Rica. She spent 4 years as a member of Kappa Alpha Theta and was the president of the organization last year. In addition to making the Dean's List every semester, she was recognized as a woman of promise and as one of the outstanding Greek leaders at the university. She is a member of the Lambda Pi Eta, Order of Omega, and Rho Lambda Honor Societies. She is also a part of the Distinguished Scholar community here on campus and is a 1743 scholar. Adrian was born in Norwell, Massachusetts. She is the oldest of 3 children of Kevin and Carmel O'Leary. She would like to say that she would not be where she is today without the love and support of her family. This summer, Adrian will move to Chicago, where she will begin training to be a Teach for America Corps member. In the fall, she will begin teaching in a special education classroom in the Chicago Public Schools, where she hopes to inspire her students with her love of learning. Adrian?
Welcome to the Communication Convocation ceremony. It is truly an honor to welcome the graduating class of 2013, the faculty, our family, and our friends here to celebrate this special day with us. As we celebrate this milestone in our lives, I think it's a good time to look back to see how far we've come over the past 4 years, and to thank the people who have helped us to get here today, including our professors, our families, and our peers. The faculty deserves a big thank you for serving as our mentors throughout our college experience. Your passion for teaching and learning is apparent in the classroom each day, and you inspire us with your enthusiasm for what you teach. You have ignited in each of us a passion for learning that will make us all perpetual students in search for more. Your constructive criticism, advice about both personal and career-related matters, and various opportunities for both professional and personal growth have meant a lot to us here at the university and made us the people we are today. We want you to know that we realize that our success would not be possible without all of your help. I think we would all also like to say a special thank you to our families and our parents, without whose love and support today's celebration would not be possible. If any of you are like my parents, you may have been a little shocked when we said we wanted to be communication majors. Many of you may have said, what does that even mean? You probably figure we already talk enough, text enough, tweet enough, and Facebook enough as it is. Do we actually need to get a degree in communication? But regardless of any qualms you may have had, you all supported us in our decision to pursue a communication degree, and that means the world to us. We are leaving this university with a great wealth of knowledge that will bring us far. We will go on to become professors, journalists, researchers, and so much more. We thank you for your support over the last 4 years. And we love you and will be forever grateful for all that you've done for us. And finally, to the rest of the graduates. I think we've all heard some variation of, college is the best 4 years of your life. Make sure you enjoy it, from either a family member or older friend. This time of our lives was so hyped up, and I hope that each of your college experiences has lived up to all that you dreamed of. But I recently heard a quote that I've taken to heart to remind myself that all the good times are not behind us. C.S. Lewis said, "There are far, far better things ahead than any that we leave behind." I think that this is an important idea for each of us to keep in mind as we head out on our respective journeys into the world. Though we will never forget our time in college and all that it has meant to us, this is only the beginning for each of us. Although our college experience has given us wonderful memories and friends that have helped us to grow and become the people that we are today, this doesn't have to be the best years of our lives. As we leave Delaware and head out into the real world, which seems intimidating to all of us today, we still have so much more to enjoy and accomplish in the years ahead. Congratulations, everyone. We made it.
Thank you, Adrian. Now we would like to recognize the outstanding academic achievements of our graduates. We have a number of students up here on the stage whose achievements we'd like to recognize. First, the Department of Communication Faculty Award is given to an outstanding senior major who, in the opinion of the faculty, has superior potential for graduate study and for university teaching in the field of communication. This year's award is to Chantel Campbell. Next year, Chantel will be attending the University of Central Florida, where she received a full scholarship through the McNair Scholars Program. The Ray E. Kesey Award is made on the recommendation of the faculty of the Department of Communication to the outstanding senior major each year. This year, the Kesey Award goes to Jacqueline Weisberg. This fall, Jacqueline will be embarking on her next venture, which is getting a Master's of Science in Public Relations at Boston University's School of Communication. The Hal Kearse Award is given in memory of Hal Kearse to an outstanding senior communication and public relations student who exhibits the commitment to professional excellence, which was characterized by Mr. Kearse. This year, the Kearse Award is given to Bobby Schrader. And you will hear more about Bobby in a few minutes when he's introduced prior to giving his prepared remarks. The Eugene F. and Catherine Melk Award in Communication recognizes the senior communication major who has the highest grade point average, as determined by the Communication Department faculty. This year's Melk Award winner is Tara Bogseth. This summer, Tara will be returning home to New York to pursue a career in human resources. The Interpersonal Communication Faculty Award is given to a senior communication major who has, in the opinion of the faculty, excelled in the study of interpersonal communication. This year's award goes to Reese Jepson. Reese will be moving to Philadelphia for a 10-month volunteer program this August with the City Year organization. This involves working in inner-city schools to motivate kids to love learning. He intends eventually to go to graduate school for an education-related career. The Lambda Pi Eta Honor Society Delaware Chapter Award recognizes a Lambda Pi Eta member who contributed greatly to the success of the Delaware chapter. This year's award recipient was our first student speaker this afternoon, Adrian O'Leary. The Adi Patel Award is presented to an outstanding senior communication major who, in the opinion of the faculty, has exhibited outstanding skills in public affairs reporting. We were actually unable to pick just one student to receive this award this year, and so the Patel Award is being given both to Kelia Scott and to Andrea Diorio this year. Kelia is currently working at AARP in Delaware, and she is hoping to find a permanent job in the nonprofit sector and end up in the New York or Philadelphia area. And after graduation, Andrea will be looking to pursue a career in public relations. I'd also like to take the opportunity to congratulate some of the students who are in groups that are very special to our department. Several of our graduates are members of Lambda Pi Eta, the Communication Honors Society. In order to be eligible for membership, students need to have an overall GPA of at least 3.25 and a communication GPA of at least 3.25. These are our department's best students. Could members of Lambda Pi Eta please stand? Of our Oral Communication Fellows Program. These students, who themselves have exceptional oral communication skills, are trained to meet with and to mentor fellow students to help them prepare and practice public presentations. We owe these fellows great thanks for their service to the department and to the university. Will members of the Oral Communication Fellows Program please stand? Recognize the contributions of the founding director of the Oral Communication Fellows Program, Professor Joe Kmetz. Please stand, Joe. Joe started this program in 2005. She was its founding director. She is retiring this year after teaching in our department ever since she joined the first cohort of our master's program in the late 1980s. Joe, you will be missed. On behalf of the faculty and the Oral Communication Fellows, we'd like to present Joe with a token of our appreciation. Thank you, Joe, for your many years of service. We are proud of our students who have received departmental honors and recognition, but today is about honoring all of our graduates who have achieved so much and who have worked so hard to be here today. We will be recognizing each one of them individually. Graduates, I want to remind you that you will not be receiving your diplomas at this ceremony. They are still being prepared and will be mailed to your homes in a few weeks. You will, however, be receiving a memento from the university and a small gift from the department. We hope that the memento will remind you often that as alums, you are still part of our department. Please keep in touch with us and consider being a resource for those majors who will follow you. First, we will recognize our graduate students who are receiving their master's degree in communication. To introduce them is my colleague, Dr. Charles Pavitt.
Don't we faculty look really cool in this outfit? Anyway, I had the huge fun this year of introducing the 8 graduate students seated over there who will be honored for earning a master's degree in communication. Each will be hooded by a faculty member with whom they have worked with closely. They come from varied backgrounds and will be dispersing to widely different places. But for the past 2 years, they've been one another's support system, shoulders to cry on when needed, and buddies with whom to celebrate their successes. They've come to know the best and worst about one another, and several of them are the sources for many of the fun facts I'm about to tell you about each of them. So I will be introducing each of them individually, starting in alphabetical order by last name. And the first three, I'd like to say, were here 2 years ago because 3 of them all were undergraduate communication majors, graduated 2 years ago. So I'll start out alphabetically with Catherine Anderson. Katie? As I just mentioned, Katie was a UD undergraduate. She describes herself as a cruise director. I've been told by others that she's the worst study buddy ever, has no filters, and tweets more than anyone, even though she doesn't have a smartphone. Anyway, Katie will be working this summer for UD's Middle East Partnership Initiative, after which she hopes to find a job in public relations in the DC area. And Professor Danny Young will be hooding her. Amanda, you're next. Second of the UD undergraduates who are here for the second time is Amanda Carlson. She seems mild-mannered enough, but I've been told that her tough Jersey Girl roots come out on occasion. Her favorite TV show is West Wing. She drives a yellow Mini Cooper named Oscar, and she makes the best desserts. In fact, brought some of them up to the department just last week. Amanda will be pursuing a career in market research, and Professor Tracy Holden will hood her. The last of the UD undergraduates who are here for a second time is Christine Flynn. Christine. Christine Flynn is the little rock star of this group. She's the lead singer in a cover band named Power Eye that performs various types of dance music around Delaware and Maryland. And I have looked at the list of tunes that they play, and they were all way after my time. I don't know any of them. Her graduate school nickname has been Pearls. That's good, for reasons that you just saw. Christine, just 3 days ago, defended her master's thesis. Its title is The Indoor Tanning Behaviors of Undergraduate Women, A Theory of Planned Behavior Approach. Christine has been interning at and will be starting to work full-time at ABC Creative Intelligence in Wilmington, where she'll be using the theory of planned behavior to help plan advertising campaigns. Her thesis chair was Professor John Tortwright, and he is here to hood her. How'd you know you were next? Fourth is Lauren Haufler. Lauren Haufler came to us from Arcadia University, where she majored in global media with a concentration in film studies. Due to her undergraduate major, she studied abroad 3 separate semesters as an undergraduate. She calls herself an Anglophile, particularly interested in British media. Katie told us that Lauren is her impromptu third roommate and is paid for making sure that no one breaks into Katie's apartment with grape juice and Jillian Michaels DVDs. I should tell you that. Anyway, Lauren is working on a thesis entitled Enunciative Practices in Online Fan Identity, a case study of Doctor Who images on Facebook and Pinterest. Her advisor, Professor Barbara Lay, is unable to be here today, and so she'll be hooded by Steve Mortensen. Lauren will be going to the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee to start a doctoral program there, going for an English PhD in media, cinema, and digital studies. And lastly, she would like to dedicate her degree in the memory of her friend Sam. Sam would have been an amazing scholar, and she hopes she can make him proud. Meredith, you're next. Meredith Isaacs came to us from Penn State University, where she majored in political science, and been told that she still bleeds the Penn State blue and white. After that, she worked for several years in the Washington, D.C. area. Meredith plays the flute and piccolo. She's been described by cohort mates as supremely organized and the best group member ever. Meredith is looking for a summer internship. After that, jobs back in the Washington, D.C. area. Hopefully, she'll be able to afford a better apartment at that time. She'll be hooded by Professor Lindsay Hoffman, with whom she worked at the Center for Political Communication. Now we're introducing Daisy McGinty. Daisy studied journalism at Duquesne University. She loves to cook but hates to do dishes. Can't go to Target without buying several things. Loves to go to baseball games, is a crack pistol shooter, and I've been told by both her and other people that her real name is Princess. She's working on a master's thesis titled Advocacy Among Parents of Children with Autism. She'll be also, John Portwright is her chair too, and he will be hooding her in a second. Daisy is applying for market research positions around Philadelphia or Baltimore, hopefully for a nonprofit or healthcare organization. Woo! Came to us all the way from Eastern Washington University. She describes herself as blessed with the gift of giving, and I've been told she loves to give away the results of her great cooking, including the best puff pastry tacos there are. In on her own words, she considers herself a poet from time to time, and according to her cohort, has the best clothes ever. Muna will be staying with us next year. She'll be instructing our public speaking course, Communication 350. She'll be volunteering at a women's outreach program, and she'll be applying to doctoral programs the year after. Her master's thesis title is Image of African Americans on Primetime and Black Entertainment TV Programs. Her chair is Nancy Signorelli, but Nancy couldn't be with us today, and so James Angelini will have the honors. Last but not all least, Stephen Polachek, the gentleman and scholar of the cohort. Stephen's a Baltimore guy, graduated from Goucher College, worked, after college he did a lot of production work, primarily for a partnership between the American Red Cross and Volunteer Maryland, along with freelance work with several other nonprofit organizations. Stephen plays and writes music for guitar. He's trying to branch out to keyboard and bass guitar. I've been told that he has a superpower, that when you're very upset, if Stephen pats you on your head, it makes you feel all better. And the right situation, Stephen will spend the entire evening speaking with an English accent. Stephen's master's thesis is titled Effective Consequence of Equilibrium, How Persistent Groups Maintain Equilibrium in High-Stakes Environments. I'm the chair, but because I'm busy here, Stephen will be winning it. Stephen hopes to work for the Department of Defense or a nonprofit agency. I would like the following two students to stand up and be recognized, Nicholas Godino, and I didn't see if he was here. Is Dr. Prettyman here? Where is he? There you are. Okay. I'd like to introduce you to two members of the next cohort of University of Delaware Communication graduate students. Joined by another UD Communications student who graduated last year, along with students from Bridgewater State College in Virginia, the third person who got from Bridgewater, State University of New York at Oneonta, and our neighbors just in Northwest Chester, in order to comprise the next cohort. And I promise the two of you that you're going to have the hugest fun you've ever had starting next year. And just a word to the undergraduates, congratulations and best of luck to all of you.
Now we are going to recognize each of our graduating seniors, but first here are a few directions. Graduates, please stay seated until an usher signals your row. Then, please stand and walk towards this end of the stage. Please hand your card to Professor D, who will be reading your names. Then, you walk across the stage and shake my hand. There's 2 footprints here for you to know where to stand for the photo. As you leave the stage, you will receive your memento and gift from Professor Angelini. Parents, family, and friends, please stay seated and hold your applause till the end. A professional photographer will be taking photos of each graduate, and they will be contacting you after the ceremony to offer you the chance to purchase the photos. Here we go.
No, I can always move the tripod out. Oh. Actually, I have to do smart.
Susan, am I right here? This is where I should be? I thought you were going to be. No, yeah, I'm doing the middle. Yeah, you're so I just stand here? Yes. No, I'm the parent one. That's right. Where do I go?
Margaret DeGirolamo. Lindsay Goldberg. Abigail Storer, International Business and Mass Communication. Lisa Fisher, Mass Communication, Advertising, and Jewish Studies. Alexa Dostick, Mass Communication. Catherine Berger, Mass Communication and Interactive Media. Mass Communication and Philosophy and Interactive Media. Jillian Kemenach, Mass Communication and Advertising. Janine LaSalle, Mass Communication and Business Administration. Melissa Samuels, Mass Communication, Advertising, Interactive Media, Organizational, and Community Leadership. Meredith Fitzler, Interpersonal Communication, Organizational, and Community Leadership. Roy Caston, Mass Communication. Preston McGuigan, Mass Communication. Tara Bodstedt, Interpersonal Communication, Human Services, Administration, and Family Policy. Adrian O'Leary, Interpersonal Communication and Spanish. Chantal Campbell, Mass Communication. Andrea Diorio, Mass Communication, Journalism, and Political Communication. Jacqueline Weisberg, Mass Communication, Spanish, and Psychology. Keelia Scott, Communication, Journalism, and Political Communication. Reese Jepson, Interpersonal Communication and Psychology. Robert Schrader, Mass Communication with a Public Relations concentration, Advertising, and Journalism. Bradley Davis, Mass Communication. Melissa Buckminster, Mass Communication, Advertising, and Sociology. Lauren Rutkowski, Mass Communication with a Public Relations concentration, and dance. Amanda R. Romanecki, Mass Communication with Public Relations concentration. Karen Kessler, Interpersonal Communication and Business Administration. Heather Freireich, Mass Communication. Nicholas Gavino, Mass Communication and Theater Studies. Matthew Harrop, Mass Communication. Tyler Papineau, Mass Communication.
Yeah, Tyler.
Sarah Cook, Communication and Art. Brian Stewart, Mass Communication, Business Administration, and Advertising. Zachary David Curtin, Mass Communication, History, and Journalism. Dana Akande, Mass Communication and Journalism. Miranda Lauren Jessica Kiernan, Mass Communications and Legal Studies. Alexa Williams, Mass Communication and Political Communication. Tiffany Cardenas, Mass Communication, Advertising and Interactive Media. Carrie Simmons, Communication and Journalism. E. Lindsay Price, Mass Communication, Advertising and Psychology. Sarah Lash, Communication, Psychology and Spanish. Kara Elizabeth D'Angelo, Mass Communication, Political Communication, and Advertising. Danielle Geraldine Jellins-Berger, Mass Communication, Legal Studies, Human Services, and Psychology. Marissa Heather Cortez, Mass Communication, Advertising, and Legal Studies. Jessica Carden, Interpersonal Communication, Psychology, and Business Administration. Nora Nicole Carnavale, Mass Communication, Chinese, and Journalism. Jensen Tioko, Mass Communication and Advertising. Lauren Wood, Interpersonal Communication, Legal Studies, and Interactive Media. Catherine Elisino, Interpersonal Communication, Advertising, and Psychology. Devin Arata, Interpersonal Communication. Abigail Bennett, Mass Communication, Advertising, and Journalism. Molly Manuel, Mass Communication and Advertising. Skylar Hill, Mass Communication and Advertising. Nicholas Brown, Mass Communication and Political Communication. Peter Risa, Mass Communication and Legal Studies. Dennis West, Mass Communication, Sociology, and Philosophy. Laura Hasek, Mass Communication, Advertising, and Business Administration. Rachel Thomas, Mass Communication, Journalism, and Advertising. Nicole Pichetti, Mass Communication and Fashion History. Andrea Bird, Interpersonal Communication and Psychology. Claire Delanois, Mass Communication with a Public Relations concentration, organizational, and community leadership. Aileen Peachman, Mass Communication and Spanish. Laura Schultz, Mass Communication, Political Communication, English, and Journalism. Melissa Joyce, Interpersonal Communication, Advertising, Organizational, and Community Leadership. Lauren Belforti, Interpersonal Communication, Performance Studies, and Psychology. Colleen Cordero, Interpersonal Communication and Performance Studies. Sarah Lazar, Mass Communication, Business Administration, and Advertising. Sarah! Dawn Sensner, Mass Communication and Journalism. Jillian Kate Jablonski, Mass
Oh, thank you.
Haley Odell, Mass Communication and Journalism.
Stand up.
Rose Summers, Mass Communication, Political Science and Global Studies, and Sociology. Elizabeth Adams, Mass Communication, Journalism, and Political Science. Rachel Darby, Interpersonal Communication, Women's Studies, Organizational and Community Leadership, and International Business Studies. Mass Communication and Advertising. Melissa Ciolek, Mass Communication. Anne Rose Burney, Mass Communication, Journalism, International Business Studies. Harry Menego, Communications. Carly Markellis, Mass Communication, Interactive Media, and Human Services. Christine Long, Mass Communications and Advertising. Serena Walker, Mass Communication, Black American Studies, and Women's Studies. Rachel Jameson, Mass Communication, Advertising, and Interactive Media.
Woo! Go girl!
Lauren Demara, Mass Communications and Advertising. Catherine Petrick, Mass Communications and Advertising. Carly Horak, Interpersonal Communication. Jamie Curado, Mass Communication and Advertising. Jillian. Jacqueline Palazzolo, Mass Communication and English, concentration in professional writing. Melissa Petito, Mass Communication and Advertising. Jacqueline Martinez, Mass Communication and Journalism. Kelly Lucchese, Mass Communication and Advertising. Regina DiStefano, Mass Communication and Interactive Media. Rachel White, Mass Communications and Advertising Marketing. K. Robert K. Mass Communications and History. Allie Smith, Interpersonal Communication and Advertising. Elizabeth Kaplan, Mass Communications and Advertising. Gabrielle Severiano, Mass Communications and Advertising. Lauren Bondheim, Mass Communications, Spanish, and Advertising. Haley Lynn Larson, Mass Communications and Dance. Catherine Stabler, Interpersonal Communication, Human Development, and Family Studies. Elaine Ashley, Mass Communication and Spanish Studies. Peter Shank, Interpersonal Communication and Economics. Tyler Dornbush, Mass Communication, Business Administration, and Advertising. Aaron Riley, Mass Communication. Casey Usteller, Mass Communication. John Usteller, Mass Communication, Advertising, and Journalism. Stephen Carter Jr., Mass Communication, Theater Studies, and Performance. Kara Priscilla Pokrovsky, Mass Communications and Spanish. Timothy Mark Donnelly, Mass Communication and Journalism. Derek Lee Coleman, Mass Communication and Interactive Media. Michael Eric Milburn II. Mass Communications and Journalism. Matthew Karpinski, Mass Communication.
Now, can we please have a round of applause for our newest graduate? On behalf of the faculty of the department, I would like to welcome you to the rank of Communication Department graduates. We hope that you you will use your education to achieve your personal goals and to improve our world. Now, I would like to introduce our second student speaker. Bobby Schrader is a native of Churchville, Pennsylvania. He graduates with a degree in mass communication and a concentration in public relations and minors in advertising and journalism. During his time at the University of Delaware, Bobby served as the Public Relations Director and as a member of the Public Relations Student Society of America. He also sang with the Meludis co-ed a cappella group and is a brother of Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia Fraternity of America, a national men's music fraternity. As a Blue Hen ambassador, he gave campus tours to prospective students and their families, and also worked in the Communications Center in the Office of Admissions. Bobby has completed public relations internships at the Delaware Center for Horticulture, the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, and at Gillespie Hall Public Relations in Hockessin. In June, he will begin an internship with Shift Communications, a mid-sized integrated communication agency right outside Boston in Newton, Massachusetts. Bobby would like to thank his friends, family, and the entire Department of Communication for their continuous support through the last 4 years. Bobby?
Thank you, Dr. Lamb, and good afternoon, everyone. When I took COM 309, Introduction to Public Relations, in the fall of 2011, Professor Carolyn White-Bartu said many profound and, at times, hilarious phrases that I will always remember. One quote of hers, "Write as if you're speaking to a Martian," emphasizes the importance of clear language, free of jargon and internal terms, so that a Martian could understand the message. Another one points out the hard work that college students must put into their studies in order to obtain the career that they really want. She said, "College is not a gumball machine. You don't just put in a quarter and magically expect a job to appear after 4 years." Although both of these phrases have been tucked into my long-term memory, one will stick with me and will guide my work in my future career. During a lecture on media relations, Professor Bartu said, "Communicate to communicate. Don't communicate to be done." From then on, that phrase guided my work and taught me that there is a strong difference between communicating and effectively communicating. Professor Bartu demonstrated her point with an example this fall when I served as her teaching assistant for Introduction to Public Relations. She used a pen to demonstrate her point. She said, "Let's compare these two phrases. Number one, here is a pen." She dropped the pen. This phrase included the dreaded word is, a form of the to be verb. And, as we all know, Professor Bartu loves active verbs, so the use of the weak verb is wouldn't fly. She went on and said, "Okay, phrase number two, take this pen." She handed the pen to me, and I took it without hesitation. The word take in "take this pen" effectively communicated the message, rather than the weak is verb in "here is a pen." If you think about it, saying "here is a pen" is like saying "here is air." It's a statement rather than an action. At this point, you're probably thinking, okay, how does this relate to us? As we all know, communication is an extremely powerful force. But effective communication will lead us to greatness. If you plan to work in public relations, effective communication will include selecting appropriate key publics to connect with and creating messages that will bring them closer to the brand or organization. Effective communication in public relations could, for example, help bring in donations that might help others lead more fulfilling lives. If you plan to work in journalism, effective communication will include the details, such as the quotes used and the information presented, that make up the story. Effective communication in journalism could bring about new laws or policies to improve living conditions, or could simply help individuals decide how they want to live their own lives. If you plan to work in sales, effective communication will include how you target the message to each individual customer and how you plan the atmosphere of your sale. Effective communication in sales could lead to an excellent customer service experience and ultimately a successful sale. If you plan to perform research, effective communication will include how you conduct and present your research so that future scholars and practitioners can use it themselves to effectively communicate. No matter what you do in your life, effective communication can help in so many ways. The key in all of this is the end goal. What do you want to happen? That will lead your every move and task. Nowadays, technology pervades our lives. With so many new outlets and channels, it's easy to get lost in the clutter. And because of this, we must be careful. We have so many media outlets to choose from, and so many opportunities to communicate. But are we really communicating effectively? Let me ask all of you, how many of you text? Texting is made for short, communicate-to-be-done messages, and lends itself to acronyms like LOL and BRB that, quite frankly, sound like robot language. We must be careful, because if we're not, we could lose the skill of communicating effectively. My fellow graduates, our professors in the Department of Communication have trained us to become effective communicators. It is our job to select channels and methods that will most effectively communicate our message, and we must plan the message so that our audience can fully understand it. It is our job to practice and promote effective communication so that we can keep its powerful force alive. Before we go, I have one more quote from Professor Bartu that summarizes what I've learned here at the University of Delaware. She said, and I quote, "You are always communicating. Every word you speak, every hand motion you make, and every action you have is a form of communication. And nonverbals are just as important as verbals. Professor Bartu always says that staring at one's split ends during a lecture communicates disinterest and a lack of attention." In all seriousness, remember that you are always communicating. With this in mind, you will equip yourself with the tools and skills to succeed as an effective communicator. Communicate to communicate. Don't communicate to be done. Congratulations to the class of 2013, and thank you to the Department of Communication, our friends and family. We did it. Thank you. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Steve Mortensen, who will offer
Graduates, I can't tell you what an honor it is to speak to everybody here today. I love graduation. I love all the excitement of the parents. They're proud, they're happy, they're a little relieved. I love the graduates themselves. They're anxious, they're excited, and there's some sorrow too, because this place has been your home for the last 4 years, and now you got to move on. And there's a lot of friends that you've helped make it your home. So there's a lot of saying goodbyes. But there's also an elephant in the room today. Jobs. Right? And it's not great out there. And there's no sugarcoating the numbers on this. Jobs are scarce for young people fresh out of college. But we have to remember today that these are not just any young people standing in front of us or sitting in front of us today. These are communication majors, and communication majors bring it. I know that because I watched it happen. I taught everybody sitting in these chairs at least once. And I watched it when you guys were here your first day, all these high-octane freshmen completely coming unglued, throwing up a hand to ask a question in front of 300 people. That takes some moxie. And then after that, they come in packs to the office hours, and they're scribbling, and their pens are catching on fire, and they're firing off more questions. And these people are totally insane and driven and dedicated. They're not your typical college students. I was lucky enough to have a lot of you in some of my smaller classes, and when I saw you get into those classes, I watched you truly confront the problem of being an adult, because it is a problem. Living a meaningful life, staying married to somebody, raising a family, making a living. These are big deals. Bonnie Ware is a hospice nurse who worked with the dying for 20 years. And she asked people, what was your biggest regret in life? And this is the most common one that she heard. I wish I had had the courage to lead the life that was true to myself, not the life others expected of me. That is your struggle. It takes courage to be an adult. Courage enough to disappoint somebody else so you can stay true to yourself. Courage enough to speak your truth to power, and even more courage sometimes to hear the hard and humbling truths, life's givens. Most of all, and many of you know this, it takes courage to drop your guard, to let down the facade, to truly be real with another person. And I've seen so many of you do this over the last 4 years. I've seen you uncouple from anger and find patience, find strength in what you thought was a weakness, and accept humbling facts with grace and skill. Maybe not accept them right away, but eventually we accept them. So you're not ordinary college students. I know this because every semester I learn something from you. I learned some new way of seeing and using the ideas we read and talked about. Every semester I heard at least one story that opened my eyes to the way life is. Comm majors bring it. Can I get a hell yes? See what I mean? And they keep it up after they live here. I stay in touch with a good many of our graduates. And I've seen them get jobs in education, therapy, media production, event planning, advertising, marketing, sales, corporate communications, copy editing, broadcast, and print journalism. I've also seen them go into service. AmeriCorps, Teach for America, and the Peace Corps. Others chose grad school, and some were able to get full funding to pursue law degrees, master's degrees, and even PhDs. So I'm confident that you will all be successful. I'm also sure you're going to experience setbacks and failures and make mistakes. You have to. None of us can defend ourselves from loss. The only thing that we can do is to meet it with as much skill as we can. When we lose, we think it's over. We think we failed and it's done. But there is another test we can still pass. How we handle our loss and turn it into wisdom and courage. Mindfulness scholar David Rico gives us this. First, if you're upset, you don't get the job, you don't get the internship, express it. Cry, have a temper tantrum, get your pity party on, or a night. Get the upset out so you can get some perspective in. Don't get down on yourself. Give yourself credit for the effort and work, even if the outcome was not what you wanted. We can't control outcomes. We can only control the effort we put into things. Ask yourself, what's really at risk here? Struggling for work may be a threat to our self-esteem, but it's not life-threatening. Remember, you're bigger than any test you fail or any job you don't get. There is an intuition that we all have, and it already knows who we want to become. I know many of you have heard this. So I know you will find your path. You've learned to confront your fears and find the truth of who you really are and what you really want. You know when you're on the right path, and it will have nothing to do with anything you can see, because the path is a feeling. On the job, it is the feeling of being most naturally your best self. When your strengths and talents coalesce to bring about that moment of understanding or connection or joy that makes this world and this life worth living. Graduates, go on and rock it. Thank you.
make this convocation a success. First, special thanks to Darlene Cartwright and her staff for coordinating and setting up this ceremony. Special thanks also to Susan Reeser. Susan, would you stand up? Susan is our department's business administrator, and she coordinated this entire event and managed the behind-the-scenes details. And as anyone who's been to the office knows, students, the department really couldn't run without Susan. So, thank you. Special thanks also to Susan Zaravicki, our department's new administrative assistant. She's the department's friendly face and our record keeper. Thank you, Susan. And I'd also like to thank Lynn Grant, our department staff secretary, for all of her hard work on this event. Thanks also to Carlos Servas, who is recording this ceremony. We will make it available to you all via our department's Facebook page.
Yeah, Carlo!
Graduates and parents, make sure to like the Department of Communication on Facebook. In fact, let's take out your phones and do that right now. Seriously though, we do want to keep in touch with you, so please stay in touch. I would also like to thank and introduce my faculty colleagues. These are the instructors who have advised and taught these graduates. Parents, this is your chance to put a face to the names you might have been hearing from your students. First, you met already Charlie Pavitt. He's our Director of Undergraduate Studies, and he teaches in the interpersonal communication concentration. We've also got Dr. James Angelini. Mass communication concentration. We've got Steve Mortensen, who you've already met. Dr. Scott Kaplan. Dr. John Courtwright. Dr. Lydia Timmons. Dr. Tracy Holden. Professor Carolyn White-Bartu. She of the many quotes. Dr. Joe Metz. Dr. Juliette D. Dr. Lindsay Hoffman. And finally, Dr. Dana Young. Deserve to be recognized today for the sacrifices that you've made so that your children could be here. You've prepared them well. Graduates, why don't you stand up, turn around, give your parents a round of applause.